today I am joined by
Scott McClellan, Vante, guitar player.
Congratulations on your awesome self-titled album. It's only been out a while, hasn't it? What's the feedback been like so far?
Well, I mean, the feedback's been really good on this album. Shockingly, we seem to be doing very well with all the folks. And, I mean, all the listeners seem to be taking to it very well. Shockingly, I mean, it started off with our hit songs. A lot of people are giving reviews about how it's a lot heavier than they expected.
Right. I mean, it's 14 tracks. Every track's awesome. Watch the Sunshine is riding high on the Billboard charts as well. That must be so satisfying for you guys.
It is. It's actually, we had a feeling about that song when we started it, that we felt it would kind of bring that vibe of like a STP kind of thing. And it just we started off doing like really heavy stuff. And we realized it was just like maybe a little too much, because I've done a lot of that on my solo stuff. And like if you do Brutal Intentions, my solo album, it's very hardcore. And I do all the vocals and everything on that. But Vante is more, Brian's a really good soulful singer. And to me, when he sings that way, it does him justice. So the music kind of has to flow with what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've released 3 singles so far. Will there be a 4th?
Yeah, we're working on one right now that it's called Paint It Red off the album. It has a really heavy guitar tone. I'm using a really cool Digitech whammy wah on it that gives it a really crazy, like big, almost like sound like Korn, but because it's going down to drop God knows what. But it's pretty cool. It was something that I experimented with, and it sounded pretty cool when I did it. It was a different song when I started it, and then it kind of turned into that,
One of the songs from the album could appear on a TV show or a film. Which one would you choose?
If I was to do that, I mean, Watch the Sunrise would be possibly one, but going with the flow, Rev, the bass player, pieced that all together. All I did is add the guitar parts and all the nuances. But that was kind of Rev's baby. He kind of sent that to us, and me and Brian just kind of worked with it. And Rev's an amazing bass player. And then, but I would say that one would probably, going with the flow is kind of a chill type tune. But then there's a ballad too that might work, depending on the movie, of course. But you'd have to find the right song for the right movie, of course. But
yeah. And the album cover is quite interesting. What's the story behind that?
Well, I was always a fan of the album Dirt by Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
And when I seen that, I'm like, why don't we get a face coming out of the sand? What kind of inspired that? Do you remember the movie The Mummy?
Yeah.
And Brandon Fraser was in it or whatever. Yeah. And remember the part where the face comes out in the sand and it sinks in and makes that big sound, And I was like, that looked really cool on an album, And the inspiration behind that was just a face coming out, artistically, to make it look bizarre. And kind of horror, but yet just our thing.
So what's the format for the album? I mean, have you got it out on vinyl?
We've discussed that. Being that it's 14 songs, you would need a double album.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And if we were to do that, we might release a couple new singles on it to add, but to kind of make it a little fuller.
Vinyl's like coming back in a big way, isn't it? And it would be ideal really on vinyl, but like you say, it would be the cost and the, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Definitely. So when you guys play live, do you do live feeds?
We're talking about getting together and doing some shows. That's something we've been working towards. We planned on getting together possibly in like Vegas, because we have another drummer that we work with, Jeff Titora from the Blue Man Group, which I understand if you're in the Blue Man Group, you have to be a very prestigious drummer. And Jeff's definitely one of those guys that approaches things from planet God knows what. I mean, he's like just amazing. Like when you hear him play, he's out of this world. But then he was kind of a guest in a way, you know, on 4 songs because him and Brian go way back and they're very close friends. And then we finished the album off with Chris Moore. Chris Moore played in a Rush tribute band. Okay. And let me tell you, can that guy nail it? He has a song out there with his band. They're called Why Not? And it's on YouTube. And it's called Ethereal or something like that. Uh-huh. And when you listen to it, you think you're listening to a new Rush song. I mean, it's their own music. And the guitar player is their writer, I believe. And oh my God, they're just unbelievably badass.
Of course, you're a seasoned musician yourself, aren't you? So is this now your full-time band?
Pretty much. I mean, I work with Tony Martin, Black Sabbath, too. And
underrated, such an underrated singer. Fantastic singer.
I hear that a lot. You know, I've been watching the press about that quite often. How they say that, you know, he was underrated. And, he should have been noticed more. But I think when he came out, that's when grunge hit. Yeah. And it kind of like shied them away from the Sabbath scene for a bit. Yeah. You know, which is unfair, but it is what it is. But now people are starting to notice his work. And I noticed that he's got a bigger fan base than people really realize. Because we put this album out in January. And when he did that, I mean, the response to it was amazing. All the Sabbath fans were coming out of the woodwork, of course, and giving him a lot of support, which is beautiful. I mean, if anybody deserved that, it's him.
He deserves it. He's a fantastic singer.
Really God.
So that's your other band then, yeah, working with Tony?
Yes, sir. We've been talking about doing a tour possibly in Australia. Okay. And if that comes about, we'll be doing that too. And Vante as well. But these are my 2, and I have another band called Breed of Aggression that I work with, a female vocalist who sounds kind of like a Rob Halford, man.
Send me a link.
I will. She's a link.
Yeah, man, that sounds interesting.
Susie's an amazing vocalist. I mean, and then like I said, you get to my solo stuff and you better plug your ears. It's pretty hardcore, you know. But working with like guys like Tony has inspired me to kind of go this direction with Vante. He taught me how to write like a writer, just by listening to him. He's like my big brother, man. I can't explain it to you, but I would consider him a brother and like my big bro, and lovely individual all the way around. On top of his musical career, he's a great singer and he's a great person. And he's a great father, good husband, good man, you know.
Awesome. So if Vante go on tour, which would be the ultimate 3 bands to tour with you?
The bands to tour with us, that would be, I mean, we would fit into a weird category, man. I mean, if you listen to what we do, like at one point we're really heavy and then we're Sabbathy and then we're it'd almost have to be a band that was sort of grungy, but possibly even a band like, you know, even like a more modern band would be fine. Like shit, Seven Dust, you know, I'd love to do a show with them. They're great guys. Our music fits in that. I would even do it with probably some even bands like, I don't know if you ever heard of Crowbot. Yeah. I mean, those guys are underrated in my opinion.
They've been going a long time, haven't they?
Yeah, and they. What's weird is I've taken notice to them as of recent, and I was listening to their music, and I'm like, man, these guys should be all over the map, you know, like, and bands like that, just this day and age, it doesn't seem like they're giving it the listen like they should.
So difficult, yeah. But yeah, I've heard of them. Okay, so can you tell us what's been your best experience playing live?
Oh, my best experience playing live. Well, basically, when I'm out there in front of a good crowd of folks, you know, and the adrenaline's pumping, you know, and the crowd's going up and down and all that stuff, and you can just see the fire burning out there, man. I mean, and that's what makes me lift up. And my adrenaline goes to 120 at that point.
Yeah.
And then I just pretty much, what's weird is I'll have a friend out in the crowd, like right in the front row or something. They'll be like, "Did you see me?" And I'm like, "Actually, it's like pitch black in front of me."
Yeah.
I mean, and I just don't, it's like I turn off or something.
Uh-huh.
And I just get into that music, man. And all I care about is entertaining those people in front of me, giving them what they paid for.
Yeah.
So they walk out of that place going, "Man, these guys kicked ass and they did a great job." You know, that's all I care about live.
Yeah.
Give it to them. Bring 110 every time.
Excellent. So can you tell me then, what's been your worst experience on stage?
When you have an amplifier blow, it's a really bad thing. And that has happened. Or breaking a string. Just anything like that. Just, I cringe. I'm like, no, not that, you know? And that happened to me one time when I went to go a show and my amp was acting up and I had to play through another guy's amp, which was a nightmare, of course, because it's just not your sound.
No.
You get by. So I've learned to kind of keep a spare head handy, you know?
Don't blame you.
Oh yeah, you got to cover your ass. That shit's expensive, man. you gotta buy that, and you got to buy another head. And you're like, oh, they're only about $3,000. I'm endorsed by Engel, so anything you get from them, even though I'm endorsed, I still pay about half price. And
right.
They're an amazing company, though, man.
Cool. That's brilliant. So then, if you could make up a super group of musicians, dead or alive, including yourself, who would you choose?
If I could be in a band with a super group, huh? I think I already did that, man, with Tony Martin.
Fair enough. Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I've had a great singer like that. I mean, you don't get much better in a guy like that, you know? I mean, you got the guy from Black Sabbath in front of you singing. You're just like, damn. I think I got pretty lucky there.
Yeah, totally. So, which is your favorite Tony Martin's Black Sabbath album then? Mine's Cross Purposes.
You know what? That's funny you mentioned that because after listening to them, now I have a few other favorite songs, but Cross Purposes is pretty badass, man. I got to give you that one.
Yeah, totally.
I would agree.
We don't talk about Forbidden. That's not a good album.
That's what everybody says. There's a couple songs in there I actually like, though.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah. It's called Rusty Angels or something like that.
That's not a bad one. Yeah. Cool.
It's just different, for Sabbath.
Totally. Okay. Which song do you think has the heaviest riff of all time?
Oh, God. If you want to hear the honest God's truth, if you hear 5 Minutes Alone by Pantera, that riff is just like punching you in the gut, And it's slow and it's heavy. And I played it with many players. Sometimes a drummer will play that too fast. I'm like, you can't do that with that riff. Yeah. You have to kind of like ride that groove because that's what makes that riff so heavy. Is just slow it down, keep it mellow, man, but keep that riff pumping, man. And that's just got to be the heaviest slow, mean riff ever.
Brilliant. So what's your feelings on Pantera then now? Because they're going on tour, aren't they, with the drummer out of Anthrax and Zakk Wylde? It's going to be a bit strange.
Well, I've met Charlie Benante in the past. He's a very nice guy. Great drummer.
Yeah.
If this is something that they're going to do to have fun, and everybody's saying they shouldn't call it Pantera, they shouldn't do this, they're all friends, man, and they're all having a good time. Stop worrying about the logistics and all the political stuff. Just get out there and listen to some Pantera and have some fun, man. They're going to get up there and do the same damn thing that the crowd's going to do, as they're going to play Pantera songs, because I did a tribute to Pantera 25 years.
Right. Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was in America's #1 badass tribute. Cemetery Gates was the first one for 20 years. The last or so was Domination. And we always had a great response from the crowd, man. I mean, so if they're going to be doing that and they got some original member left, and a couple original guys, and they're going to get up there and just pay tribute to the music. Yes, they're calling it Pantera. A lot of people are like, they should call it a tribute to. Yeah, I don't care. I think that they're just going to get up and they're going to have a damn good time. Who cares?
Absolutely.
I hope they destroy it, man.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Hopefully they'll bring it over to Europe as well. What was the last song you listened to?
Believe it or not, one I'm writing right now. Yeah, it's I wrote a song called "Time to Fight Back," and basically it's kind of about what we're all dealing with, you know, and basically what I'm sure you've heard over there with all the crazy stuff that's been going on here, you know. It's been quite a mess over here in the States. I'll give it that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad over here too, to be honest.
That's what I seen that. Tony posted something recently about
Boris Johnson's coming back, which yeah, it's just insane. And we got the living crisis, cost of living crisis, and the war in Ukraine and all that shit. And then then we see Uncle Joe over there. Oh yeah, mess. It is a mess. Okay,
it's all a mess.
Yeah, can you tell us then why we should check out your debut album, Vante?
Oh, to tell you why. Well, basically, if you like anything to do with Sabbath or anything, you know, we've got some of those elements in there. I mean, this is where I grew up, man. I grew up playing Pantera, Black Sabbath. One of my favorite, no pun against Tony, one of my favorite Sabbath. I remember when I was pretty young when this happened, when Dio came in.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, oh my God. You know, and then I remember the Heaven and Hell album came out. The first song I heard, waking up, getting ready for school. And I was about, 14?
Yeah.
You know, and I remember waking up hearing Lady Evil. And I'm like, the new Sabbath singer. And I'm like, man, that dude's pretty badass. You know, I was like, you know, and after that, of course, Dio became Dio. And he did wonderful on his own, too. So,
yeah. Totally. So can you give us 4 words to describe Vante?
Heavy, different, new, unique.
Brilliant. I love it. Okay, so it's just 5 questions now, either or either. So the first one, small intimate gig or festival?
Festivals are cool.
Vinyl or digital?
For some reason, I can't make it out what you're saying. It's probably this audio.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? I don't know what. It's the Russians, man. It's the Russians. I blame the Russians.
That's what it is.
All the time.
That damn Starlink. Yeah,
man. Vinyl or digital?
Oh, yeah, vinyl. I mean, if you could do vinyl, they say it's best.
Yeah. Saint or sinner?
Saint.
Today, yeah. Pizza or beer?
Both. They're great.
Yeah. Okay. So
they're like the perfect and English beer rules.
Who would you rather be stuck in a lift with, Joe Biden or Kermit the Frog?
Kermit the Frog. It'd probably be a more interesting conversation.
Probably, yeah.
Nothing against you there, Joe. Sorry. Yeah.
So again, I want to thank you for your time. The album's brilliant. Do you have any final words for your fans, our viewers, and listeners?
Well, I mean, basically, I want to say thank all of you for buying our music and listening to it and supporting us. And I am more than grateful.